What is up, guys? Nick Fury back here with another video, and today it's gonna be another rant. and I laugh, but I still have a bad taste in my mouth left over from the news that I got a few days ago about EA canceling DLC and future support for Mass Effect Andromeda. I just can't get over it. And so I stumbled upon an article today on thegamer.com, and it's called 15 Ways EA Has Totally Screwed Up, and I will leave the article in the description box. And so before we get into it, as always, subscribe, hit the like, let's get into it. 3 days ago I dropped a video about Mass Effect Andromeda and the news that EA dropped on us on the Bioware website that there is no longer support for Mass Effect Andromeda. No DLC coming, no single player support, nothing. Also mentioned that this was my favorite game, favorite franchise ever, and I was highly upset, whatever. And I just can't get the taste of this out of my mouth. And so this had me thinking, what other games has EA ruined for me in recent years? And not just me, but for all of us. And so out of spite, out of my pettiness, I started Googling things like EA messing up, EA worst company, just things like that. Well, I found this article, I read it, and so that's what this video was inspired by, is just this article. Like I said, I'll post it in the description box so you guys can read it, but this will be my personal list based on this article, but my personal things that EA has ruined for me. And I don't know if this will be a rant, but it'll just be a good list, things to talk about, whatever. Number one, let's just start with Star Wars Battlefront that came out, 2 years ago? And do you remember playing the beta? I do. I remember opening up the beta with my friends online, and the first thing we do was we start Walker Assault on Hoth, and you just saw the snow, and you just saw the animations, and you saw the character models, and you just saw how great this game looked. And then even better, if you played the game with gaming headphones, you heard the sounds of Star Wars, and it made it feel like you were in the Star Wars universe. And then on top of that, in the next month, Star Wars Episode 7 was going to be released in theaters. So there was all this Star Wars nostalgia at the time. And me and my buddies, we were just so hyped for this game and hyped for Star Wars to come out. We were just so excited. We were just like, this is a beta. This is only the beta. And just look how amazing this game looks. And just this map is huge. And there's going to be more maps. And there's going to be more characters. And it has to get better than this, right? Wrong.
Wrong. Proved.
What happens? The game comes out, it's pretty much the same as the beta. We get 3 extra maps other than Hoth, no extra heroes, and we did get more weapons, but those weapons pretty much were hidden behind the deluxe edition. And if you bought the deluxe edition, you got all the weapons, and you were pretty much dominating games. And there was a way to progress to get those weapons, but it was really grindy. And not to mention the worst trend EA has ever started, and that is the BS season pass. And so this game's content was locked behind DLC, and you had to pay for it. There was no real content released with this game. So this practice is nothing new from EA. I mean, they've been doing it since Battlefield and all their first-person shooter type games. They've been releasing season passes forever, but it seemed like for some reason this game was the sketchiest. And then what do we have later? We have a quote from a representative of EA, and I cannot remember it, and I've been Googling and I cannot find this quote. But whoever said this said Battlefront was pushed up to coincide with Star Wars The Force Awakens release for quote-unquote better impact. Translation: Star Wars fans are suckers, and they got us hook, line, and sinker with that game. And so another thing that this article was talking about was Mass Effect Andromeda, which I mentioned in my last video. It's dead, DOA. And I also mentioned it in this video. Hey, did I mention that Mass Effect Andromeda is dead? Hey, seriously, it's dead. And you know who else is dead? BioWare Montreal. EA has a horrible reputation in setting unmovable deadlines for games to be completed, and if they're not done, they get shipped anyway. And so what does that do for developers? Either one, they work all this ridiculous overtime trying to complete the game, or they put out a half-finished product. And a half-finished product equals gamers upset equals nobody buys the game, and nobody buys the game equals EA shuts these developing studios down. And EA has done this so much, they've had 3 lawsuits against them. And for what do you say? For unpaid overtime. They're not even paying these developers properly. And you know it's true because they settled on these lawsuits for $14.9 million. And so what have we gotten from EA in the past few years? Well, we've gotten either half-finished games, or we've gotten games where it seems half finished, but really the content is hidden behind a season pass, or heck, you gotta pay for all the DLC. But there does seem to be a silver lining with the new Battlefront 2 that's coming out this fall. Keyword seems. I have no doubt EA will try to pull the wool over our eyes once again. Now, if you know anything about EA, you know they have a sports division called EA Sports. It's in the game. And what does EA Sports do? They have annual releases for each one of their sports franchises. Now, I have to admit, I'm a sucker for this. I've bought multiple Maddens, I've bought multiple FIFAs, and back in the day I used to buy NBA Live. So I'm gonna come off as a little bit of a hypocrite here, but there is no innovation in these games. I mean, every once in a while, maybe every few years, you might get something new, you might get a new engine, you might get something different, but for the most part it's the same game every year and you're just paying for a roster update. And that is what I loathe about EA Sports. That's what I loathe about Madden, that's what I loathe about FIFA, and that's what I'm gonna loathe about NBA Live. You know, and I can't really say much because I play NBA 2K and they do the same thing. I mean, let's just be honest, it's just these companies trying to get their money, and it works because it's sports games and we all fall for it. And not so much that we all fall for it, but they put us in the predicament that we have to buy the game. So why hasn't EA shut these games or these studios down? And the answer is quite simple. Obviously, money. Money, money, money. Not for the sake of the game, not for creation, not for art, but for money. And sadly, that's just the day and age we live in with games. And so we as a gaming community are going to have to start voting with our wallets. And let's be honest, it's not just EA. I mean, we have Activision with their Call of Duty annual releases. We have Ubisoft, who tried to give Assassin's Creed an annual release and quickly learned that's not going to work. And so that's the power we as a gaming community have, to vote with our wallets and let publishers know these practices are no good anymore. And I think that when we start doing that, half-made games will no longer come out. And so this video turned into a rant against EA and somehow became a video about the trend in the gaming industry. I don't know. But what I do know is that there is some sort of relationship between the two subjects. And EA has a reputation and quite frankly has won awards for being the worst gaming company. And so it's up to us as the gaming community to pretty much fight back against all of that. So if you like what you heard, go ahead and subscribe, and then after you subscribe, don't forget to hit the bell icon and get a notification every time I upload a new video. Also hit a like, drop a comment. I'd love to talk to all of you. You can call me an idiot, you can say you like it, whatever. I just like meeting new people. Real conversation is good for the gaming community. So this is Nick Fury signing out. Thanks for watching. See you later.